Hey guys, Braden here, and before we begin the review, you may notice I'm reviewing on a different table than usual. That's because the review table I've been using for the past while is getting moved, and it's getting moved all the way downstairs, and so it's less convenient for me to lug the figure I'm reviewing down there, so I'm just going to start reviewing on this table up here in my brother's room, who's not here, instead. I might still use the downstairs review table once it actually gets moved downstairs for larger figures, because this table isn't quite as big as the first one, but I'm not going to be using it regularly anymore for reviews. Anyways, today what we are looking at is the Safari Ltd Uintatherium, which I didn't learn until I started scouting for the figures from Safari for the last several years that I'd missed, was actually discontinued. I believe in 2023, this figure was no longer put into circulation. It was discontinued. I didn't realize that until then, which was unfortunate because it meant that I had to spend a bit more than I probably wanted to on this guy. I had to pay, I think, about $30 for this guy. Through DeJenkins, because Amazon offered it, but Amazon was offering it for $40, and you know what, I think 30 is a little bit much for this guy. Most of that was shipping, to be fair, but I think that's still more reasonable than asking $40 for this figure. Which is not to say this is a bad figure. He's a pretty interesting little guy. You don't really see that many figures of Uintatherium or other Uintathers. I remember my very first toy of a Uintather, probably Uintatherium, was a Chinasaur. Anyone who has had, like, those bags of dinosaurs might remember this figure, this really bright orange Uintather. At least that was the one I had. But you don't see too many major companies tackling this guy, so I'm pretty glad Safari did, as part of their prehistoric mammals lineup in, I believe, 2018? Yeah, 2018. He is nicely detailed, very nicely detailed, with these sort of elephantine wrinkles, but, you know, this is a mammal, so it kind of makes sense to have those. Nicely detailed there. The feet have the toenails painted very nicely. The underbelt, the body, the coloration is very, very rhinoceros-esque, with this sort of dark gray for most of the body, with little bits of, like, brown for the face and the underbelly. Pretty much nowhere else, although the inside of the ears also, which I appreciate they actually painted the insides of the ears. What I kind of annoyed by is that they didn't paint the fangs, which means that they are basically the same color as whatever part of the body was being painted there, which is unfortunate, but you can only do so much. Oh, and one last bit of color, this sort of black for the tail tip, which is very nice, very nicely done. Just a very nice little guy. I mean, I can kind of see why this guy was discontinued, if only because he's a little bit, how do I put it, boring looking. I mean, he's just kind of a rhino. I know Uintathers aren't rhinos, but vaguely little rhino-y guy. Also, something I have to say, having had this figure for, I think, a couple weeks now, it just took me forever to actually get around to reviewing it. He looks so sad. He just looks so depressed. Just, what's wrong, buddy? What's the matter? Why are you so sad looking? I don't know. He just looks really sad. Overall, I don't think this is one of Safari's best figures, but Safari at their worst is still kind of Safari. Like, this is still a good figure, I think. I just think it's kind of overall. But it's a very nice little guy, and I don't really know of any other options for a Uintather figure on the market, so if you really want a Uintatherium, this is kind of your only option. So, if you're interested, like I was, go ahead and get him. If you're not interested, then this is one you can easily pass over.